And hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly live scanning session, planning for the week ahead. And oh boy, what a week it has been last week, too. So the markets have truly been shaken up. So let's see what we can find today, moving into the next week in terms of setups. And of course, we're going to use our Liquidity View dashboard for this to find these interesting high reward and low risk setups. My name is Daniel Sinek and greeting you today from an unusual hour. So it's Sunday evening. So for all those football fans among you, Sunday night football, it may not be the best time. And in fact, I have a question later on. What time you would actually prefer on the weekends to have this live scanning session. So typically we had them on Saturday around noon. Today it's going to be Sunday at 8 p.m. in the evening. So I'm going to have a little call later on to see which time you guys prefer. All right. But before we get started, a quick question. Who do we have out there today and from where are you calling in from? I am greeting you guys from our beautiful office here in Montreal in Canada. So who do we have? Please put your location into the Q&A box. All right, I can see we have Greg. Greg, I don't even know where you live. I think it was on the, was it in Phoenix? I forget. We have Mark from Birmingham, Alabama. Hey, Mark, nice to see you. We have Brian from Ohio. Hey, Brian, nice to see you. Oh, Greg from Idaho. Okay, I was way off. All right, Steven from Utah. Awesome. All right, Utah, by the way, tomorrow we have the Metastar conference, fresh from Utah, from Salt Lake City. Brian, we have, he says, hey, Daniel. Awesome. John from Fort Collins, Colorado. Awesome. Edward from Michigan. Sukraj from Toronto. Nearby. Awesome. Bharat from San Francisco. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Tom, I guess. Brian from BC, Canada. Where in BC? Vancouver? Or like Martin from Queens in New York. David from Delaware. Martin from, yes, New York. And Jan from Kamloops, BC, Canada. Perfect. Wow. Amazing, guys. Well, thank you so much for sharing your location. And for those of you, if there are any, if you are new, please also put a 1 into the Q&A box. If you are new to our power scanning sessions, and if you perhaps joined any of our webinars for the very first time, let me quickly introduce ourselves. So we are tradingindicators.com. Just move this out of the way. My name is Daniel Sinek. I'm the guy here on the left-hand side, and I have built trading indicators around 10 years ago. I started it 10 years ago together with my partner, Homa, the lady here in the middle. And Homa and I, we actually go back almost 20 years ago. We met back in grad school here in Montreal. She was doing her PhD at the time. I was doing my master's, and we were stuck in the same research lab for many, many years. Without any windows, and this was quite a bonding experience. And ever since, we've been doing business together. We also have Niklas with us, and he'll be manning the chat room. And many of you will know that Niklas has been instrumental behind many of our latest innovations. Talking about innovations and trading tools, over the years, we have built almost 1,000 trading tools and trading indicators and fully automated strategies for clients all over the world. And recently, we have also started building trading dashboards and trading scanners. And today, in fact, we are going to use our Liquidity View scanner to find these high reward and low risk setups. And how this works and what our process is in finding these setups, we're going to go together today. A few more words. These setups will be based on what's called technical analysis, which is basically a pattern analysis of your price chart. We believe that fundamental information, at least for the most part, is almost immediately priced into your chart. And by analyzing your price chart, you will indirectly also take into account fundamentals. We believe that trading should be simple, and trading is simple, but you need to know what to look for. And as we will see today, finding these interesting setups is actually, first of all, very fast, and secondly, very simple and easy to comprehend. And this is what we're going to share with you today. All right. And one quick reminder, of course, I need to say that trading does contain risk and therefore is not suited for every investor. If you trade, make sure to only use risk capital, which is money that you actually can afford to lose. When it comes to backtest performance or hypothetical performance, keep in mind that this is not necessarily indicative of future performance, and any trade ideas and strategies discussed in this webinar should not be construed as trade advice. These are for educational purposes only. All right. So with this out of the way, I'm going to say it's going to spend 2 more minutes on a bit of, of some fun facts, so to say, or some contextual information. Number one is I just came back from Singapore, and perhaps you've seen me there. I was at the Singapore FinTech Festival representing Canada at this festival. In fact, we were invited to join the Canadian booth. Because of our expertise in technical analysis and also in our, sense of innovation when it comes to creating powerful indicators. So this was quite an experience. It was a massive, massive conference. I'm going to say a bit more about this on Tuesday when we meet again at our lunch and learn sessions. Perhaps just a few words. Yeah, it was massive. They had 6 humongous halls, hundreds of meters wide, with booths and stands like this all over the place. All the big banks were there, governments were there, the big companies, Amazon, Alipay, and so forth. Massive conference. Some of the big themes discussed was AI. Of course, you perhaps could have guessed that, and also quantum computing. That's a whole different philosophy of computing. It requires completely different machines and computers. And these are, for example, used in encryption to make encryption much, much more secure as it is right now. Basically unbreakable. So these were 2 big themes, but also there was a fair amount of trading going on at the Singapore FinTech Festival. And for example, I did some live trading right here at this booth, at the Canadian booth. And I'm just going to show you what I traded. It was quite something, and people found it really, really interesting because, it was kind of something exciting going on. The markets were open at the time. Actually, was the overnight markets, but we were trading the US market, so we could trade the futures. Oh, let me just open up my trading view just for a second, if I can find it. I'm going to show the trades that I took at this festival. I live took in front of the participants. I'm going to drag this in here. There we go. Just, it's Sunday evening. We have a bit of time. Come on. And my computer is just a bit slow. What's going on here? I hope it's opening up. Not muted. Good. Come on. I think my Chrome just crashed. In any case, I will put this up a bit later. Oh, there we go. Finally. Oh, boy. Okay, so let me drag my trading view into. Come on. There we go. Okay. I don't know why it's so sluggish. Okay, let me connect. I'm going to show you what I took, which live trades I took at the Singapore FinTech Festival. And of course, these were day trades at the time. Okay, so, and one of these trades is still open right now because, I had to eventually leave the conference, but I left the trade open. But the first one I took was, and these were all taken based on our liquidity IQ and MA rush indicators. So the first one was just post-election. I entered long, big surprise there. I entered long into the S&P E-minis at this time here at around midnight, which was, I think, maybe 11 a.m. in Singapore, something like this. I entered long, and I was playing on the fact that we had a zone break here in the S&P E-minis. We had our resistance zone as highlighted by Liquidity IQ. Of course, everything was very, very bullish. We had this breakout. I was actually originally planning to buy the pullback here, but then markets really took off. So I decided to enter long regardless, not waiting for the pullback. It came a bit later, but of course, this trade worked out beautifully. My Profit target was way too conservative. I closed it out here for a nice profit. But of course, a beautiful trade. I should have left it a bit open a bit longer, but I was a bit distracted at the conference, so I couldn't really monitor it. So that was trade number one. And trade number two was short gold. So gold, of course, lost a lot of value in the aftermath of the elections. So we had this big zone break here, massive follow through once support was broken. And for gold, I was waiting for the retrace. So when I actually arrived at the conference, I was around this time here, perhaps here. I think it was around here actually, around 11 a.m., 12 p.m. Singapore time. Price was here. I didn't want to enter at this level. I was waiting for the retrace. So actually, I put a limit order in to be filled at this level here. I didn't think it was going to go all the way up here to our support zone, but I thought a bit more of a retrace was in stock. And then I shorted this gold trade, and I'm still short. My profit target, in fact, was all the way down here, just above this support zone down here. So at this level. So let's see what's going to happen here. It looks like gold is once again losing this intermediate support, and this profit target is very much in play. So more on this perhaps on Tuesday when this trade will hopefully be concluded. I already adjusted my stop loss to lock in some profits. All right, so these were the two live trades I took using Liquidity IQ and MA Rush at the Singapore FinTech Festival directly at the Canadian booth. And it was very well received. So people were fascinated by our indicators, the way we look at the markets, and in fact, how simple it was to identify these trades. Okay, I'm going to use these techniques, of course, to find some trades for the week ahead. Just keep in mind that the time frame will be a different one. We're going to look at swing trades for the week ahead, not these kind of day trades. All right, so there was that. So I'm back now from Singapore. I'm going to expand a little bit more on my experience in Singapore on Tuesday during our Lunch and Learn sessions. All right, so I'm going to comment on your question, Stephen, just a bit later. All right, so one more thing. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, I will be back. I will be headlining, in fact, the MetaStock multi-trader event, multi-speaker event, which kicks off tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And I'm going to use MetaStock tomorrow to find and identify interesting setups using our Super Trend Bullseye indicator combined with Trend Radar. So if you're interested of what this is all about, join me tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Down here is the link. And Niklas, please post this link into the chat box. Participation is completely free. It's a really cool event. Of course, not the only one. It's a full week event. I think there's like 10 presentations each day for 5 days of 50, 60 speakers in total. Very interesting stuff. And if you want to join this entire conference, it's completely free. Just click on this link below, which is also posted into the chat. All right. Now, without further ado, and I apologize if I didn't get to the topic right away, let's get into today's objective, in which we want to find completely interactively. So this is going to be a back and forth between you and me. I want to find interesting high reward and low risk setups using our scanner, which is called Liquidity View. If you don't have access to the scanner yet, I would recommend that you perhaps get access right now. It's completely free, at least for the first week, so that you can follow along, which makes it so much more fun for you and so much more hands-on for you as well. So the way to do this is to simply go here to tradingindicators.com/view. This will open up a page where you can get instant access to our scanner, which is called Liquidity View. And you're going to have access for a complete week. So it's 1 week free trial. And if you decide to stay on afterwards, it's completely up to you. There's no requirement for this. You can cancel at any time. Simply choose any of our monthly or yearly options afterwards. But as I said, you can cancel at any time. There's no contract, and there is a 7 days trial. All right. Also, one more thing before we get into the topic, I'd like to mention that this is our fifth live scanning session. And, I always talk about teamwork and how important it is to uh, find a win-win situation where you guys find out how we trade. You can learn perhaps on our take on the market, but at the same time, we also learn from your feedback, which we can then incorporate further into our solutions. And exactly this is what happened here with our live scanning session. So this is our fifth session, but for example, from session one, we found out, hey, wouldn't it be nice to have a feature in our scanner which shows you directly in the scan results how long a particular setup has been present. This is done, implemented. From session two, we came interactively to the conclusion that, hey, wouldn't it be nice if you could annotate our symbols with trade notes? Well, we listened and we've implemented this as well. Also now available in our Liquidity View dashboard. From session three, we thought, we should be able to scan for liquidity captures and perhaps for pullbacks within a big uptrend. Actually, we're going to use this pullback scan today to identify some really interesting trade ideas. Also implemented. And from session four, we learned some lessons from our trade notes and some ways to enhance them. And how this will look like, I'm going to give you a preview today. So this is still work in progress. It's not available on the live version yet, but I'm going to give you a preview of what you can expect a couple of weeks, perhaps even earlier, down the road. Having this said, guys, if you have any suggestions or any ideas on how to further enhance the dashboard, or perhaps some features that you would like to see in the dashboard, don't be shy. Please put them into the Q&A box of your Zoom window. All right, now let's get to the topic at hand. So what we want to find today are what's called high reward and low risk setups. All right, so these are trades where the profit potential outweighs, oftentimes by a multiple, the risk that you assume for the trade. Okay, this typically requires a tight stop loss. And of course, if this was easy to do, we would be all millionaires by now. It may require several tries, and you may see a few losing trades before you have your big winner. So don't be discouraged by that. This is part of the game if you are trading these high reward and low risk setups. Okay, so here's our process for today. We're going to focus on one setup at a time, and there will be 3 setups that we're going to go through. For each interesting symbol that we find, we're going to add this one to what we call a hot list, a watch list in our dashboard. And then once we've gone through all the setups, we're going to do a detailed analysis, an in-depth analysis of all the symbols in our hot list to identify the ones which are the most promising ones. And we're going to annotate those with our trade notes. Sounds good? All right, let's get started. So setup number 1 is our bounce setup. So what is this one all about? And of course, this is also a high reward and low risk setup. So what is bounce all about? Well, as the name suggests, price may be bouncing off. But from where will it bounce off? Well, it may bounce off from perhaps a support zone. We can see it here. Price has been trading around the support zone, but it was not able to penetrate it to the downside. And instead, it bounced off to the upside. So bouncing off support to the upside, or vice versa, bouncing off resistance to the downside. Both are so-called bounce setups. And why are these high reward and low risk? Well, imagine price is somewhere in this level here, in this support zone, and you are betting on the fact that price will not be able to penetrate this support level. What do? Well, you place your stop loss just below the support zone, which is often very nearby, just a couple of dollars away oftentimes. And your profit target would be all the way in the middle between support and resistance. As you can see here, the distance to support, to the stop loss, is much less than the distance that we can profit from. And that's exactly the idea. And Derek is asking, where would you enter the bounce? Well, we're going to discuss this when we look at some live symbols, Derek. Perfect. All right. So without further ado, let me switch over to our dashboard. All right. So, and for this, I'm also going to hide my camera so that you guys have a full view on the dashboard. So let me just find it real quick. All right. Oh boy, gold's really losing it, huh? Look at this. Okay, opening up the dashboard. All right, view.tradingindicators.com. I'm going to quickly log in. There we go. Okay, perfect. So logging into our dashboard. And if this takes a little bit of time, this is because my computer seems to be a bit slow today. It's probably because of all the tools I have open. Ninja Trader is running, my Meta stock is running. I was scanning for some setups for my event tomorrow. But nonetheless, the dashboard loaded. And now let's scan for our first setup, the bounce setup. Okay, so what do we do? First of all, I'd like to point out that our scanner tracks around 5,000 symbols. You can see it here, 4,938. And some of this may be in a bounce setup, in a long bounce or a short bounce. Some of those may be in a magnet zone setup. Some of those may not have a setup at all, and so forth. But today, we're going to focus, or right now, we're going to focus on the ones which currently have a long bounce setup. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to click on Filter of my Liquidity IQ column and select long bounce. And just a little heads up, as the markets are so bullish, we are not going to look for short setups today in the scanning session. But if you are interested in finding short trades, you can do the same thing, just using the short bounce setup instead. So we're going to use long bounce. All right, so long bounce is selected, and right off the bat, once we've done this, you can see that we now filter down from 4,938 stocks to only, in quotes, of course, 557 stocks. And if we look at some of those, for example, this one here, Agilent Technology, we can see that, hey, price is indeed trading around a support level at the lower end here. Yeah, let me find another one. This one, ACCD, trading also around a support level. This one, yeah, this one's actually grinding up, but now it's actually at the support level. So you can see all these stocks are somewhat near a support level. So this is really step one of what we're trying to scan for. But of course, it's not enough. We need a bit more. Because wouldn't you agree that if we're looking for a bounce to the upside, a bounce to the bullish side, wouldn't it be nice if the stock would also be bullish at the same time overall? And you're basically finding a pullback within an overarching uptrend. I think this would be nice. So what we can do is we can use our second column here, the MA Rush column, and filter to only show us the stocks which are currently bullish. And as soon as I do this, we can see that we are now down to only 117 stocks. Wow. Down from almost 5,000 to 117 stocks. Only the ones which are currently bullish as per our MA Rush indicator. If you're not familiar with MA Rush, it's this indicator here, which prints, just hide the other one, which prints these bull labels on the chart or bear labels if the stock was bearish before. So bull, bear, bull, and so forth. And, depending on what the last label on the chart was, the stock is deemed either bullish or bearish. So in this case, we can see here that this stock, Agilent, is bullish. And if you look at the number next to this arrow here, this upwards facing arrow, we can see that 169. This stock has been bullish for 169 trading days or 169 bars. If you were to count up these bars from the last one all the way to this one, it would be exactly 169. All right, perfect. So now we know that all our stocks are bullish as per MA Rush, and they are all trading near a support level. But I want to do one more thing. I want to sort by the stocks which have been bullish for the longest time. So what I can do is I can sort this MA Rush column here. You can see it. And now I see the stocks which have been bullish for the longest time. And the first one that comes up is this one here, Westlake Chemical Corp. just had earnings. You can see it here, yes, last week. All right. So what do we see here? First of all, if I scroll back, we can see that this stock is indeed bullish. So we had some, of course, major retracements, but it's overall very bullish. And Emmy Rush had the last bull signal years ago. Okay, so it's very bullish. But lately, we've had quite a bit of a retracement here. So we made all-time highs, and then we retraced all the way down here to this support zone. All right, so let's have a quick look at what else is going on. All right, so we're trading near this support zone. And you know what? I kind of like this setup because, first of all, in around the earnings, this was the pre-earnings day, the day before earnings, we had this massive bar. I think there were already some talks about the earnings. Massive bar. We actually wicked below support, but then went all the way up and then gapped up, even in fact, when earnings came out. So there was quite a bit of a gap here, but then we gapped down. So this gap was closed, but this time we stopped at this support zone. And you know what? I would not be surprised that after this gap fill, which is not uncommon, so gaps tend to be filled over time, we may now see some further upside action. So I kind of like the setup. I'm going to add this one to our hot list right off the bat. All right, so I'm going to go to our drop down here. I'm going to create a new watch list. And in fact, we should also later on have a quick look at our watch list, at our hot list from last week, because most of these setups, they were spot on. Of course, we had the election, which had this a massive bullish move afterwards, but still, most of the setups that we identified last week, they were spot on, and many of them hit the profit target. So I'm going to create a new watch list. All right. So 2024, 11/10, today's date. Okay. Interesting setups. Perfect. And the first stock I'm going to add to this watch list is Westlake Chemical Corp. All right. Done. Edit. Okay. And Derek, to your question, how close should a stock be with respect to the support zone? Well, ideally, the closer, the better it is. So I'd like to see pullback all the way to the upper half of this shaded area. So the actual support level is this one here, this line, but we always give it a bit of tolerance based on the current volatility of the symbol. So in this case, ideally, you want to wait until the stock wicks down or comes down all the way into this shaded zone, which would give you the best reward to risk ratio. Imagine you'd enter right here, your stop loss just here, and then your profit target somewhere here. What a great reward to risk it would be. Okay, so moving on. Next is Cigna. So Cigna is an interesting one. It's not the cleanest one. In fact, we had this stock a couple of times in our on our radar in our trading room and our lunch and learn sessions. And you can see here that we have been trading around the support level for quite a long time now. This has been tested and tested and tested. And after this, actually, what did we do? We caught out a long trade around here, had this beautiful move upwards. I was actually hoping it's going to go all the way up here. It did not. Instead, we retraced one more time directly into this massive support zone. So nonetheless, it's an interesting one, and I would not be opposed perhaps in taking this trade to the long side. So we booked some profits here, but this could be taken one more time with a very low risk just below the support zone and the target perhaps at this intermediate resistance zone up here. So I'm also going to add Cigna to our watch list. All right. And perhaps one more. This is a stock which I actually don't know what it is. It's not the actual Coca-Cola stock. Let me have a quick look. This actually looks, this had a massive retracement from the all-time highs all the way to the 80s. Could be an interesting one though too. So I'm also going to add this one. Similar scenario. We are at this massive support zone, and seeing that the overall trend is bullish, we may see a bounce off this level, at least to this intermediate resistance zone around 92. So I'm also going to add this one to our hot list. Oops. There we go. All right. So 3 stocks and perhaps one more. Plains GP. I think we had this one. Didn't we call this one out last week? I believe we did. When was it? Yeah, I think we did call it out. We had a nice follow through at this level down here. So it bounced off beautifully. Since then, a new support level has formed a bit higher. And now we are trading at this support level. An interesting one, but I think I'm going to stay away from this one, especially since it already has seen its move and we are fairly close to this resistance zone. In other words, this bullish trade would not have much room to the upside. It's too close to resistance. So I'm going to stay away from this one. All right. So this was our bounce set. I'm going to leave it at this, but hopefully you can now see how easy it is to identify these kind of bounce trades and why these are considered high reward and low risk. Derek, and I see the question, it's actually a really interesting one, especially if you're trading options. So let me go back to the first one here, Westlake. Derek is wondering, let's say we wanted to take a long trade here, or perhaps buy a call option, if you're an options trader, with perhaps a strike price, maybe around 135 or something, a little bit out of the money. So you get the option a bit cheaper. But then, of course, still with options, you need to decide on the expiration date. And the expiration date should be chosen so that you will not have to wait all the way until expiration when price hits its profit target. Let's see, our target is somewhere here at 145. So it should happen much, much earlier. And I would imagine you can learn from the past. Look at what happened in the past here. So here, we were in a similar scenario. We were at a support level on September 11th. And it took us all the way to the end of September. So 3 weeks, maybe 3.5 weeks, to make this much leeway in terms of price. So if history was to repeat itself, and as you can see, volatility seems to be more or less the same across the board. You can expect from here for price to go all the way up here, it also to take 3 to 4 weeks. So if you then take the assumption that you do not want to wait all the way to expiration for your options trade, I would consider an options chain where the expiration is perhaps 2 months out, or maybe even 3 months out for this trade to play out. So that would be my reasoning, Derek, for this one. I hope this helps. All right. Perfect. Are there any questions? Steven wants to know, are all of us futures traders, or do we also trade Forex? Well, in fact, it's really a mix of traders that we have in our trading room. Of course, in these scanning sessions, which happen on the weekends, we are looking for swing trades, and these swing trades are typically for stocks and ETFs. So we did actually have an FX trade also last week, USD CAT, I believe it was. It can happen that these ones come up, but typically as an FX trader, waiting for the trade to play out for 3 or 4 weeks oftentimes is not feasible because it's so leveraged, the FX game. But having this said, our indicators for the TradingView platform, for example, these for sure can be used very nicely for trading FX. In fact, we have many users who use our indicators for TradingView or NinjaTrader or MT4, if you're an FX trader, to make these kind of day trades. All right. So back to my slide. So these were the bounce trades. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next high reward and low risk setup, which is called the zone break setup. All right, so what is this one all about? Well, first of all, as you may know from life, nothing lasts forever, unfortunately. Eventually, I'm bringing it back to trading now, every support zone will be broken or every resistance zone will be broken. It's just a matter of time. Eventually, this will happen. But if this happens, this also presents to us an interesting opportunity, which is to enter into this breakout move with your stop loss just above the broken level. So when support is broken, it typically becomes resistance, which should prevent price from, going above this level again. So placing our stop loss just above the broken support zone typically is often nearby, especially if we catch the breakout move early or if some kind of retracement happens. Then, of course, the upside potential in terms of profit target can be humongous if you let this trade right. So once again, an interesting, low risk, but high reward setup. So let's switch back to our dashboard to see how we can scan for these trades. So one more time to our dashboard. I'm going to clear out the scanner by clicking on this little clear filter icon. So we're back to our status quo at 4,938 symbols. And in this case, we are going to filter using the Liquidity IQ setup column for zone break setups, which are called long break. So I'm going to click on this one. And once clicked, we can see that right now 641 stocks are currently trading above their highest resistance. Okay, so let's look at some of these. This one, PP. Once this opens up, we can see indeed, what a nice zone break this would have been. Here's our resistance level. Had we entered, of course, hindsight is 2020, this would have been an amazing trade. Of course, they must have had some sort of earnings. In fact, they had earnings on November the 6th. A massive, massive jump up. We can also see here in our scanner directly for how many days, trading days, the zone has been broken. So for this one here, APP for 39 trading days. All right. This one here, CACI. Wow, we broke it 66 days ago. Look at this. Zone break, massive, massive follow through. And just have one look at this one here, because it's going to become relevant in perhaps 10 minutes. Look what happened here. We broke above resistance with an initial move upwards, but then we retraced. But where did we retrace to? Back to the broken resistance level, which is now acting as support. And this is a prime opportunity to re-enter into this long trade. More on this a bit later on. So we can see here, just by looking at this number, for how many trading days the resistance zone has been broken. Okay, so this is good. Step number one, we can find these setups. Step number two, and once again, wouldn't it be nice if we could only focus on stocks which are long-term bullish? Oftentimes when resistance is broken, stock is also bullish, but let's use the filter nonetheless. So I'm going to use our MA Rush filter here and filter for only bullish stocks. Let's see how many we eliminate. All right, we eliminate 11 more. Most had 630. All right, perfect. But we're going to do one more thing. I'm going to now sort my Liquidity IQ column here by setups where the zone break happened recently, like 1 bar ago, on Friday, basically. So let me click on the first one here. Co-op. All right, we can see on Friday, indeed, we did break above resistance. Nice. Okay, this is an interesting one. Let me just scroll back a little bit. This stock has been bullish for 1,109 trading days. And we recently, by breaking above this resistance level, made an all-time high. All right, this is definitely interesting. So I'm going to add this one to our list of interesting setups for this week. All right, done. Very nice one. Okay, next one here. Enterprise Product Partners. Ooh, okay, bullish for 916 trading days. Yes, so we can see here quite bullish. We did have a double top here, and now we made all-time highs also just as of Friday, and trading just above this very strong resistance level. You can see it held up very nicely one more time here afterwards. This shows you the power of these levels. So price came all the way up there, could not break the resistance level, and then rebounded all the way down to support and rebounded again. Up here again to resistance, rebounded. But now, as of Friday, we broke above it. And this could be a nice, interesting bullish trade idea to enter long here with your stop loss just below this resistance level, which will now act as support because it's broken. I'm going to add also this one to our list of interesting setups. And one more, Cardinal Health. And I know this one for sure we had in our trading room. And wow, look at this, guys. Look at these bounce setups here. Price went all the way down to support, bounced off. Then went all the way up to this resistance level, almost to the T, and bounced off. Beautiful. A new support area formed. Price went down to support, bounced off again, but now finally we broke above our resistance level. Wow, very nice. And this, once again, could be an interesting trade idea when the market opens on Monday. Ideally, I would love to see a bit of a retracement on Monday when the market opens, perhaps back to 118, 117, and then enter long into this trade with your stop loss just around 114. In the expectation that, since this resistance is broken, price will continue to move further upwards. So I'm also going to add Cardinal Health to my list of interesting setups. All right, perfect. Also very interesting ones. But as I mentioned, if you remember, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, we want to give our long break setups a bit of a twist today. Because we are kind of restricting ourselves to only consider the ones where the break up or the breakout just happened at the last bar with the number one. There are so many other opportunities where we had this breakout a few bars ago, maybe even 20 bars ago, but the stock currently pulled back, giving us a better entry price. So let's try to find these ones. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to keep these two filters the same. Okay, but I'm going to use another filter here in our pullback column. I'm going to look for a level for bullish pullback. So how this works, we're going to see in a second. So I'm going to click on this one. And now, look at this. We're down to only 6 stocks. And in this case, I want to focus on the ones which have been bullish for the longest time. Let's look at this one here. HCA Holdings. All right, look at this. Beautiful. What happened here? Very bullish. Doesn't take a PhD in finance to see that this stock is bullish. We broke above resistance 68 trading days ago here on July 24. We broke above it, made all-time highs, a beautiful follow-through, but then we pulled back towards this broken level. A big pullback. We are still long-term bullish. We can see it here in our trend radar indicator, but this is the level for a pullback, meaning our short-term trend and medium-term trends, all 4 of them are bearish, but our long-term trend is still bullish. This is a deep pullback. And since we are just around this resistance zone, I think this can be an interesting opportunity to re-enter long into this trade, especially since we had this big earnings gap on October 24, all the way down here. What did I say early on? Gaps tend to be closed over time. So if you believe in this, and if you believe that this stock is in a bullish uptrend, and this is just a deep correction, this could be a great opportunity to re-enter long HCA Holdings as well. So I'm definitely going to add this one to our list of symbols for this week. Let's skip this obscure German stock. I shouldn't say this as a German, but also this one here is experiencing a level 4 pullback. You can see it here. All 4 levels are red while we are on an uptrend. Definitely also an interesting opportunity to re-enter long here, but we're going to skip it because not many of you perhaps would trade this stock. And perhaps one more, IGLD. Oh, also an interesting one. Look at this. Beautiful uptrend. We broke above resistance. We went up. Price pulled back. As we're going to come to this topic in a second. All the way down to this broken resistance level, which is now acting as support. We went up again. And we had this earnings gap on November 6th, all the way down to this broken resistance level now acting as support. And we see early signs that this Yeah, upwards trend may now continue in the upwards direction. A great opportunity to re-enter bullish at this level with your stop loss just below this resistance level, which is now acting as support at around 21. So I'm also going to add this one to our hot list. All right, done. Okay, and somebody says GE is looking good too. Okay, so let me have a quick look at GE. All right, so General Electric. All right. Long break. Yeah, similar. We broke above resistance. You can see it here. Long-term bullish, bullish for 448 trading days. We dipped down a little bit before below this resistance zone. It didn't help up too well as support, but now we're trading once again above it. To me, a little bit too erratic. You can see these big swings and these big gaps, but yeah, definitely an interesting opportunity as well. All right, perfect. So, this was our zone break setup, but we have one more setup which I would like to discuss today. So back to my slides real quick, and this setup, and in fact, this is my personal favorite. It is super rare, but sometimes one of the rarest thing are the best ones. So it's the zone break retrace setup. What is this one all about? Well, as the name suggests, the first thing that you need to have is a break above either resistance or below support. So in this example here, we are breaking above resistance right here. Price initially goes up, but then it retraces, kind of tries to fake you out of this bullish move. And perhaps many of you would panic when they, oh no, I don't want profits. But this can just be a healthy pullback within a strong uptrend, especially if price retraces all the way back to the broken resistance level, which is now acting as support. A prime opportunity to re-enter into this long trade and then catch this really big move. Why high reward, low risk? Well, once again, our stop loss would just be below this resistance level, and our target to the upside would be almost unrestricted. It could be a massive move following through. Okay, so how can we find these kind of setups using our scanner? So let me clear out everything here. We are back to our 4,938 symbols. And once again, I'm going to our Liquidity IQ setup column. And in this case, I will select my long break retrace filter. Wow, select it and look at this. Only 7 stocks out of almost 5,000 are currently in a long break retrace state. Wow. Okay, let's focus on the first one. Bets. Okay, so what do we have here? Okay, let's have a look. So we had definitely a strong resistance level here. Look at this, how many times price attempted to penetrate this level, failed, failed, failed. Finally, we got the break above at this level here. And now we had this initial move upwards, but now we had a pullback. And what do we pull back to? Exactly to our broken resistance level, or at least nearby. And we have also initial signs that the overall bullish move is now going to continue. So I will also add this stock here to our watch list. Right? Done. And this one we're going to skip. It's an index for the German market. Not many of you will trade it, but once again, you can see that we had the zone break and the retracement back to the broken level. We're going to skip this one, but let's look at this one here, Cantaloupe Inc. All right, once again, zone break, price goes initially up, but then it retraced almost to the T back to the broken resistance level. Another prime opportunity to re-enter long into this breakout move. It's a bit too flat for me, for my taste. I'd like to have a very strong bullish stock and then the retracement. But nonetheless, I'm going to add this one to our watch list. And perhaps one more. Trade Desk Inc. Oh, this one is a nicer one. Look at this. All right. So here we have this nice steady move upwards. So you can see it. Okay. Price broke out here, made historical highs, and then we had, this is too bad. We had earnings last week, I believe on Thursday, and earnings gap down, price opened up here. And by the way, this is not a coincidence. Price opened exactly at this broken resistance level, which is now acting as support. This is where we opened. But since then, we already shut up again. The gap will be filled, almost guaranteed here. So this could be also an interesting opportunity. If we see a bit of a gap down when the market opens tomorrow, I would consider this one strongly for a long trade to at least fill this gap. I mean, it almost did already. I believe this one is doomed, not doomed, but primed, I should say, to make all-time highs coming up. All right. So this one definitely, I will add it to our list. And I believe somebody even pointed this one out, right? TTD? Didn't somebody say it?
but I removed it. I thought that's why you were showing it, actually.
Oh no, it was actually not. I guess somebody was following along using our suggestions. Nice. Perfect. Thanks, Niklas. Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay, so I see a question here from Patrick. Can you please scan by price and do some lower prices? Yes, we could. It's definitely possible. So we do have this price filter here, and we could perhaps filter by the ones which are below $50 for all the options traders. Around there, which are of course looking for lower prices because that makes the options so much cheaper. And since you always have to buy an options contract for at least 100 shares, these can become quite expensive, especially if they're at the money or in the money. Okay. All right. So what do we have? We have Cantala, but I also want to see quickly if these ones are even optionable. Now, both do not have a liquid options chain. So in fact, for this setup, for the long break retrace, I do not see any interesting ideas for tomorrow. But as you know, these setups, these change day by day. With new price action coming in, these setups will be repopulated. And perhaps tomorrow, when Monday closes, when the trading day tomorrow closes, you may find some of these setups. And we can scan for some of these later on during the Q&A section for some of the other setups, perhaps a zone break or perhaps a bounce setup. So this is a good question, Patrick, and I will try to go through some of these lower priced examples towards the end of today's session. All right, perfect. Okay, so now let me quickly go to step number 3 for our process. So what we have done so far, a quick recap before I do that. Step number 1 was we were scanning for our high reward and low risk setups. That's done. Step number 2 was to create our hot list for the week ahead. All right. And step number 3 now is to go through the symbols in our hot list and annotate them with our trade notes, with perhaps some entry ideas, where to enter. Perhaps you're going to wait for a pullback further and enter by limit order. Where would be our stop loss and where would be our target? Let's do this. All right. So for this, I am going to clear my filters. And in fact, I will now go to my watch list, to this one here, 2024, November 10th, interesting setups. All right. So how many do we have? We have 11 stocks here. Let's go through these one by one. But before I do this, guys, I want to give you a bit of a sneak peek of what you can expect in terms of trading notes in a future version of our dashboard. We don't have a release date yet, but I'm always overly optimistic. I believe in about 2 weeks, it's going to be ready for the production version. I'm going to give you a quick sneak peek of what to expect. So for this, I am going to our developers version of the dashboard. It looks almost exactly the same. I'm going to log in again with my credentials. There we go. All right. So once logged in, I'm going to demo to you this brand new notes taking feature. Okay. So going to be hopefully impressed. All right. So let's say we have one of our favorite setups. Maybe just going to clear this out. Maybe a long bounce setup for a very bullish stock, similar to what we found before, Westlake Chemical Corp. In fact, this one was part of these setups that we found earlier on. So it's loading. And you can see here, this server is a bit slower than our production server, so it takes a little bit longer, but nonetheless, it's loaded. Let's say we wanted now to annotate this symbol with our trade notes. Okay, and this is a preview, so you cannot find this feature yet in the version that you have access to. So if trade notes are enabled, and you can enable those with this settings icon here, go all the way down and enable notes. This one here needs to be enabled. Once it's enabled, you will see this little notes icon next to your symbol. Okay, you can see it here. Perfect. And once you click on it, a little window will open, this one here. So here, you can now add your trade notes. So we can see, for example, okay, Westlake. Oops. One second. There we go. Westlake is long time bullish. And we can even, okay, so you can put your notes here, whatever it may be. So I'm just going to make something up here. Okay, so you can type in your notes. But, you know, I'm quite lazy. And I was thinking, and this is something that came to me while I was annotating some stocks during a live scanning session. I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if I could simply dictate my notes? Just speak it out. You know, in today's day and age, this should not be very complicated. Well, so I passed it along to our team, and they have come up with a feature. You can see this little microphone icon here to dictate your trade notes. Now, for me, it's always a bit challenging because of my German accent. But let me demonstrate to you how this can work. So I'm going to dictate now that we could potentially enter at 132. Now, so we're going to enter there. We're going to have our target perhaps around 144 and our stop loss just below support around 128. Okay, so I'm going to click on this microphone icon here. I'm going to say now, entry at 132.80. Look at this. It worked almost. Sometimes, you know, that's a little thing that you need to fix, but nonetheless, this will save you some time. Stop loss at 128.00. Once again, we're going to fix this little issue. That's why this is still a development version. Target at 148.00. Done. I'm not sure why it puts the colon here, but this will be fixed in a future version. Ah, yeah, 100. I probably should have done this the proper way. But you can see here how nice this can be just to dictate your trade notes. And since these notes are typically just for yourself, as a little, you know, diary of what you were thinking at the time, it doesn't matter if you have a typo in there, if it's not absolutely exactly what you said, as long as the gist is there. So this is pretty cool, I thought. But there's one more thing. Of course, you know, people say a picture says more than 1,000 words. Do you agree? This is why we have now also added, or we will be adding for the new version very soon, we will also add a feature to add a snapshot of the current chart with all the indicators on it and with any annotations on the chart that you may have to your trade notes as well. So you click on this symbol here. It takes like a couple of seconds to load, but it will then insert the snapshot. It just takes a little while. My server is a bit slow of your chart to your trade notes. So it's going to be a bit bigger eventually. So it's going to be styled a bit nicer. But wouldn't that be nice to be able to review exactly what has happened in the past and how well our predictions would have worked out? This makes learning from mistakes so much easier because you can then learn, hey, this didn't work out because maybe I didn't put all the things together. Or perhaps this worked out well because I checked all the boxes. So you can actually review what you have done, what your thinking was. And this can create an awesome trading journal. But there's two more things which we're going to add. So the first thing, the new one, is that we're also going to add timestamps to your entry. So for every day, you have the option to add a completely new entry to your trade journal. So tomorrow, on the 12th, this is going to be blank again. You can add new notes to it. And you will have the option to navigate between your trade notes from day to day with these buttons here. Okay? And there's one more thing. Eventually, and don't hold me for a release date for this, you will have the option to see all your trade notes for all the days in one consolidated format, perhaps a PDF or perhaps an HTML output. So you can see all the trade notes that you had on November 11th. And afterwards, all the trade notes for all the symbols on November 12th, and so forth and so forth. Making it very easy to review what you had in mind at that particular date. So I thought this was pretty cool. So this is coming up in the next weeks in a future release of the dashboard. All right, so I'm going to close this up. And of course, once it's closed up, it shows here as, hey, there is a trade note available for the symbol. And when you click on it, you can see exactly what these nodes were. All right. Now, all right, so let me go back now to the dashboard, the actual dashboard on our production server. Let's now go through our list of setups one by one. Okay, we're going to focus first on, let's say, the bounce setups. So we have 3 bounce setups. Westlake Chemical Corporation. Okay, so what do we have here? Let me just zoom out a little bit to see what's going on. Yeah, long-term bullish, we can see it here. It's been going up for a long time. We have a rather deep retracement here. We recently had this earnings gap. Earnings were on November 5th. You can see it here. We gapped down all the way down to the support level. I believe that this is probably going to be filled. So I would not be opposed to entering long here if price goes down tomorrow to 130.70 per limit entry. Stop loss just below here at 127.95. And your target at the minimum, the gap that you had, perhaps here at 137. I believe this is going to go much higher, but at the minimum, somewhere around here. So this could be an interesting trade. All right. Okay, so I'm going to annotate this, and too bad I don't have my notes, my microphone option available right now. So here, limit entry at around 129, I would say. Stop loss at around 127.50, and my target, if you're very aggressive, could be all the way up here, but I believe a conservative target could be maybe around this level here, 139. Okay, perfect. By the way, guys, so I just typed this up here. This could be interesting. By the way, did you know that the indicator, this indicator here, it's called Liquidity IQ, actually would also suggest a stop loss and a target for you? Let me show you how this can be done. So you're going to go to the settings here, scroll all the way down. You can see we have so many settings, but you go all the way down to the one which says show target long and show stop long. And once done, you can see that the indicator suggests the target automatically. So stop loss at 126, just below this support level, and your target at 147. The indicator is very aggressive. At 147.93, just below this resistance level. And the way the indicator finds these levels is by figuring out where is my support level. It also looks at what is the current ATR, and then puts the stop loss a couple of ATRs, or perhaps I think 1.5 ATRs or something like this, below this support level. And then it finds the target by looking at the next resistance level and puts the target 1.5 ATRs or something like this below this resistance level. So this is how the indicator does it. All right. So this is an interesting one. Cigna. Yeah, Cigna. We've had this trade many times in the past. What I don't like about it, that this level has been highly contemplated. It's been broken partially a couple of times, and this might be a sign of weakness for Sigma. So we had this beautiful trade here. We shut up to this level. We made some profits there. I'm going to stay away from Cigna for the week ahead. even though a bounce may happen. But since you've been testing this support cluster here for so long now, I'm going to stay away. I'm going to put this one on the sidelines. All right. Coca-Cola FEMSA, whatever that stock is. All right. This is not the actual Coca-Cola one. Yeah. Also, this one, I have to tell you, it's very bullish. You can see it here. But this retracement since this all-time highs move here is quite deep. And we've powered through multiple support levels already. Now we're here. I'm also going to stay on the sidelines for this one and not recommend this. Well, in fact, I don't do any trade recommendation. I would not use this for the week ahead. I think we have better ones to come. All right, so these were for our long bounces. Let's move on to our long breaks. Co-op. This one here. Okay, I like this one. Look at this. Beautiful uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs along the way. We just made a higher high here, broke above resistance. Yes, I like it. So here, I'm going to be looking for a pullback when the market opens, perhaps to 98.25. Put my stop loss right just around 93.29. The indicator shows it here, and my target all the way at 116. So let's put this one here. Okay, so pull back to 90, around 98. Okay, so, oops. I want to believe this is, so you can see here, maybe there's I already put a note here, but I believe there's a small bug with the notes taking feature. I'm going to fix this. So limit entry. Limit entry at 98. Stop loss around, let's say 93. The indicator shows it too. And my target, the indicator thinks that 116 is a possibility. I'm going to be a bit more realistic, maybe somewhere around 108 for our profit target. All right, so let's see next week where this will bring us. Okay. All right, so moving on. Next, EPD, Enterprise Products Partners LP. Yeah, here we had this beautiful double top. We eventually broke it, and now we're trading at all-time highs at this stock here. Definitely worth a try. If this is a breakout move which makes the stock to explode in the upside direction, this could be an interesting one too. So here, let's wait for a bit of a pullback to 30.22 or 25. Yeah. So I believe there's some kind of bug here with the trade notes. As I mentioned, this is in development. So limit entry at, where are we? 30.25. Stop loss at 29.68, very nearby. And target at around, it says it here, yeah, 31. I'd say if 31 could be realistic. So still a positive, a reward to risk ratio. We're gaining more than we're standing to lose. All right, perfect. Okay, so Cardinal Health. Yes, I like this stock. I have recommended this one many times for a bullish move because it respects these levels so beautifully along the way. So here, similar to this one here, we did have a nice bullish break above the all-time highs. Oh, look at how beautiful this bounce was. Now we're trading fairly high above at 120 already. If we see a pullback to like 118 tomorrow, I would not be opposed of going long this stock as well. So let's also annotate this one here. Limit entry at 118. All right. Stop loss at around 114, let's say. And target at, the indicator thinks the target should be all the way up here. I think around 127 would be a reasonable target. All right, close. Perfect. And one more, IGLD. Oh, this is also a long break. Oh, this was the one with the pullback. Yes, remember, guys? Here we actually looked for the pullback and we had the earnings gap. Yes, that's an interesting one too. So we broke above resistance quite a while back, and now we had this nice pullback all the way down here. So this could be an interesting one too. I just don't know the stock. FTCBOE West Gold Strategy. Let me look at the other pullback one. HCA Holdings. Yes. I think I'm going to only pick one of these pullback ideas. This one is long-term bullish. You can see it here. Very parabolic. Now this big earnings gap down all the way to support. And here the gap after earnings was even bigger. So I'm going to use this one here. I'm going to suggest to enter long around market level at 354. Okay, so here at 354. All right. My stop loss all the way down here. It's going to be a bit wider at 330. Oops. 354. Stop loss at 330, just below this resistance level. But I believe in this case, my target can be all the way up here to close this gap at like 400, 398, something around these levels. So target at, let's say, 398. Once again, a beautiful reward to risk ratio. All right, perfect. And one more thing, let's look at our long break retrace stocks. Let's start with Trade Desk. I like it. We're just a bit too far away. Look at this. We broke up above here, then earnings gap all the way down here. Now we're almost too far away. This move is already in progress. So I'm going to perhaps wait a bit longer until we see this retracement to unfold a bit deeper if it happens. But for now, I'm going to stay away from Trade Desk. Now, what else do we have? Cantaloupe Holdings. Yeah, this is an interesting one too. Let's have a look. Yeah, a bit too sideways. I mean, we've consult. In fact, let me just have a quick look here. Yeah. Nah, I'm gonna stay away from this one too. Look at how sideways things have been here. When did we go bullish? Only here, but we're nowhere near the all-time highs. I'm gonna stay away from this one too. It's just too jumpy for my taste, and we would have to put a fairly wide stop loss to take into account the volatility of this stock. Okay, so one more. Betson AB. Yeah, this one looks a bit better. So very bullish. Now we broke above resistance a couple of days ago. Initially went up, now trading around this broken level. So let's do this one here. Limit entry at around 136.95. All right. So 136.95, my stop loss at around 132. And I believe here a target from around maybe 150 would not be out of the question. So target around 150. All right. Perfect. Okay. So we've, I believe, found a couple of very interesting ones that we can look out for the week ahead. Perfect. And I'm going to get to your questions in a bit, but let me quickly go back to my slides because we're already at 1 hour and 15 minutes in. And let me quickly summarize. It's always good to summarize. So we went through all our setups. If you have not downloaded your ebook yet, please do so now, because in this ebook, we are detailing every single setup. I'm going to explain to you exactly why we believe this setup is working, why you should consider it, and why it is a high reward and low risk setup. And also, one more time, if you are interested in giving this dashboard, the scanner, a try, you can do it now completely free of charge for 1 week. Simply go to tradingindicators.com/view. And before we get to the questions, a quick reminder that I will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the MetaStock conference, looking for interesting setups using our Super Trend Bullseye indicator together with Trend Radar. And the link is in the chat for that one. All right. So now, with that, let's look at some questions that we have. So, Nicholas, do we have questions?
Yeah, Daniel, we have a question from Mohammed. He wanted to know, can you send or do you send alerts from the dashboard?
So we don't send out trade alerts to our users, but you can configure your own trade alerts with the dashboard. All you need to do is to go to the check or the settings box here, go to trade alerts and enable the alerts, and they're going to be delivered to your inbox at the end of every trading day around 7 p.m. Eastern or 7:30. You're going to get the alerts in your inbox. We also have a fairly comprehensive boot camp. It's like a 2-hour boot camp explaining every single feature of the dashboard. So if this was a bit fast, for example, or if you're not sure what perhaps these indicators do, you can watch the boot camp, which you will get with your free trial for the dashboard.
Thanks, Daniel. And we have a question from Keith. He wanted to know, what's the R score?
Yeah, good one. This one here is the R score, and this one actually corresponds, Keith, to the R score column in our scanner. So by it's not showing right now because we don't have enough real estate, but let me enable it real quick. Let me perhaps disable earnings and enable the R score column here. And it's not showing because our scanner doesn't have enough space. Let me also disable this. So here,
we could see it.
oh, you could?
Yeah, we were able
Okay.
to.
Okay, so here we have also the R score column. So you can see these values are the same, 141.25, and the same here. And this R score is calculated based on the last 50 bars of the trend radar indicator. That's a special formula which gives more weight to more recent bars. And basically, it looks at how many bearish trends we had and how many bullish we had. And it only considers 50 bars in here, so it's fairly short term. And basically, it's a reading on how strong my short-term trend is, and also shows you if it's bullish or bearish. So for example, here, a score of positive 141.25 would tell you that short term, we are in a, fairly moderate uptrend. Because so if you go to this one here, 62, you will see that the short-term trend is a little bit weaker. So it's very mild. If you go to this one here, oh, well, at least before this huge move, but it always considers the last 50 bars. So if you look at 50 bars, you can see that we had lots of red here and a bit of green. So it's only at 62. Of course, we had this massive breakout in the very, very short term. But if you look at 50 bars, you can see that this was, it's not too far off from where we were 50 bars ago. If it's red, it will tell you that, hey, my short-term trend was very bullish. So you're minus 266. Let's see here, quite bearish. So you can see it here. This is exactly what this R score does. All right. Any other questions, Nicholas?
Yeah, we have a question from Derek. He wanted to know if you could show some short or sell examples for buying puts.
Okay, so that's a good segue to try to find some interesting options trades. Okay, so what can we do in our dashboard? And that's actually a couple of things that you can do. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to our end of day scanner, the overall scanner here, and we're back to our 4,938 stocks. Okay, so buying puts, we are looking for bearish action. And of course, you also would like to pay a reasonable premium. So we're looking for stocks which are not too expensive. Sorry, for options which are not too expensive. Okay, so the first thing we want to have is this symbol should be optionable. So I'm going to go to my optional column here and select this one. And in fact, what this column does, it not only looks for an options chain, which many stocks have, but it also looks for a reasonably liquid options chain. And if both come together, you have this little check mark here. So we can see of our almost 5,000 symbols, around 1,000 of them have a reasonable liquid options chain. Okay, perfect. So that's done. Now let's look for some bearish setups because we want to buy puts. So for example, our, I guess, short bounce setup. So short bounce means we are trading near a resistance level and we may bounce off from it. All right. So McDonald's, for example. You can see it here. Yes, we are trading near this resistance level, may bounce off from it to the short side. Okay, but of course, McDonald's is also quite bullish. So this is not ideal. So let's see if we can find some bearish stocks, which are currently trading at a resistance level. So I'm going to go to my MA Rush column and select bearish. All right. So now we're down to 32, not too many. And we're going to do one more thing. We're going to add our price filter to only look for stocks that say below $50. Perfect. So these are all optionable. I'm going to start with this one here, Unity Group. You can see here, this stock, actually could be quite an interesting one, is bearish, at least over time. Even though it's quite erratic, it is quite bearish. We've been consolidating since this big bearish move, and now we are trading near this resistance level. And if you want to speculate, hey, we're going to bounce off this level to the short side, you may buy perhaps a put option slightly out of the money, maybe at 550 or so, betting on the fact that, hey, this stock is going to go down in the next month or so, with an expiration perhaps 2 months out. Could be an interesting idea. Yum China Holdings. Yeah, similar here. We recently bounced off to this resistance level here. And once again, if you were to bet that we're going to bounce off this level once again, you could buy put options. I would always recommend slightly out of the money, because for options, the way I at least look at options is it's speculative. And I want to get, for a relatively low contract cost, a potentially huge payout. So this will not happen all the time. It's highly speculative, but that's the kind of option setups that I would be looking for. So here, perhaps I would buy, because this is very bullish already, perhaps buy some put options, maybe around 48.50 with 1 month out. If we see a huge move down, perhaps to this level, this could be a nice gain on your put options. So this is how I would look at, finding or buying put option purchase opportunities. I hope this makes sense, Derek. Any other questions, guys?
Oh, Daniel, that's it so far.
Okay, perfect. Well, we're already 1 hour and 23 minutes in. And I hope this was interesting to you guys. And you can now see how easy it can be to find these interesting trading opportunities. I'm going to conclude this webinar by one more time having a quick look, also out of self-interest, to my gold trade to see what's going on here. Yeah, we're still nicely, I like this trade, below this intermediate support level. And I believe that my target, I'll review this on Tuesday, at 2,658 is very much in play, and we may see some further downside action. So already have a nice gain when the market opened today. We're going to keep this one running to see where we will be on Tuesday. And one more time, this was the trade that I took live at the Singapore FinTech Festival at the Canadian booth. And it was very well received. People actually really liked how simple it was to find these day trades using our Liquidity IQ and MA Rush indicators. All right. Perfect. Yeah, Kevin, I did not look at any fundamentals today. So today it was a pure technical scanning course, looking for technical setups. And of course, if you have any fundamental insights as to which stocks may be more risky than others or more reliable than others, of course, by all means, use this information as well. Yeah, and Derek said he found some other very interesting setups using for GME and Riot, these two stocks. Perfect. All right, guys, with this, I say thank you for attending. If there was a question which was left out today, please send us a note. You can do this by going to tradingindicators.com, go to the main menu. In there, you see a contact item. Click on it. It will open up a contact form. Put your question there, and it will go straight to my inbox, and I will make sure to answer all your questions as soon as I can. And one more question that comes in. Are these indicators available in interactive brokers? So Samuel, if you are referring to the trader's workstation, then no, they are not available. I believe the trader's workstation is incredibly hard to use to begin with, and there are not many custom indicators, if any, in the trader's workstation. But if you are using TradingView, for example, you can connect your TradingView account. This is actually what we are doing right here. You can see it. This is our Interactive Brokers live account, which we are trading with TradingView. You can do this through TradingView, or also you could do it with NinjaTrader or Modifwave or some other trading platforms. So you don't need to use the TWS, the Traders Workstation, for your Interactive Brokers trades. I hope this clarifies it. I'll be happy to comment on this a bit further if you send me a note, Samuel. All right, perfect. All right, guys. With that, I wish you all a great Sunday night. And yeah, hopefully see you tomorrow at the Metastock event or otherwise at our Lunch and Learn session, Tuesday at 12 p.m. And this week, we also have the Tech Talk on Wednesday at 6 p.m. So busy, busy week for all of us. Hopefully see you guys there. And until then, happy trading and stay safe. Bye, guys.